Hello and welcome to the TFIM show. So after weeks, months, if not years of thinking and talking, it's time to actually take action. So here is the first episode. I hope you enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. I got a lot from it. It exceeded my expectations, and although I'm making this all up as I go along, I think it is a pretty decent first attempt. Although I'm sure I'll get better and things will get smoother as we go along. So I hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, tell someone about it because they might enjoy it, and so on and so forth. That's how we build momentum. Anyway, before I go much further, massive shout out to Graham from Graphics for Coaches, who has done a cracking job of making some sexy artwork for me. You're going to hear a lot more and see a lot more from Graham in due course. So go onto his Instagram page or his social media pages. There's a shed load of really good quality free content so he can make your business look a lot sexier, and he will even take your money off you if you want to pay him to do it for you if you can't be asked to do it yourself. So at Graphics for Coaches, go and take a look, and you're going to hear a lot more from them in future. Anyway, off we go into the first episode. The TFIM show is officially coming in your ears, or if you're watching on YouTube, it will come in your eyes too.
For the few people in attendance and the dozens who are listening all around the world, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from his spare bedroom in Norfolk, England, Mark Laws asks you to get ready to fight fucking Monday!
Right, first round, Danny. My idea at the start is we're going to do what I'm going to call the last minute first, just because it sounds silly. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. It's quick fire. Don't think. I just want the first thing that comes into your head, within reason. And I want you to put you in the context of these 8 things. If it was going to be the last time you could ever do or experience any of them, what would you choose to do? So basically, what is your favourite thing? I just didn't want to call it your favourite thing.
But it's my favourite thing.
It is your favourite thing. Don't tell anyone that, because I'm calling it the last minute first.
Last minute first of my not favourite thing. If I could never do it again.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, it's not the catchiest of titles, I'll give you that, but it's a work in progress.
Hey, it's the title.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to do an actual timer, although maybe I might put one on afterwards, but we'll aim for a minute. So what would your last ever meal be?
Oh, pie mash. Easy. Pie mash and liquor. Loads of salt and vinegar.
Easy. Last drink?
Water.
Last movie you would ever watch?
Dirty Dancing.
Last band or musician that you'd ever listen to?
Robbie Williams.
Any song?
Let Me Entertain You is my funeral song.
Oh, nice. Last book that you'd read?
I don't read. I don't read. The Yellow Pages to find someone to help.
I don't think that even exists. That doesn't exist anymore.
No way.
What would be the last town or city that you'd visit?
London. That's where I'm from. Have to say goodbye to people, right?
Exactly.
And get my pie mash.
kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What would the last hobby be that you would partake in?
Game of ice hockey.
Nice. And then finally, who would be the last iconic person that you would want to hear from?
I wouldn't. My icon would be my family's.
Oh, nice.
It would be Pete and the kids.
That's good. Good answer. Good answer. Not everyone has to choose Mother Teresa or The Rock.
I'll see her in heaven.
I like that. Dirty Dancing. Talk to me about Dirty Dancing. Is that your favourite film?
I don't. Not. It's just a go-to film. It's an easy film, right? Like, bit of Patrick Swayze. It's the first film I think I watched and was like, oh, hello.
fancied a bit of that, did you?
Fancied a bit of that.
Yeah.
Just carried a watermelon.
We used to have like 3 VHS tapes in our house, and one of them was Dirty Dancing, one was Bigfoot and the Hendersons, and I think the other one was like Dumbo. That might have been my younger sister's. So I grew up watching all 3 of those on repeat.
On loop.
Literally every weekend. I think I might have watched Dirty Dancing 200 times.
You got the moves?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have time to fit any demos in now, but I'll send some videos. Don't you worry. Brilliant! What a film. Right. Moving into the first part of my question. My first question is very open-ended, but who is Dani Czernuszka-Watts?
Wow. I'm still figuring out her, but at the moment she's someone who just rolls around life winging it, I think. Tries to give her best, everything, but I still don't know who she is. I think still don't know, still growing.
I don't think there's there's definitely not a right or wrong answer to that question, but in terms of your life, I don't know, what would you say was turned upside down, although there's a more positive way of looking at it than that. How far are we going back? 5 years?
Yeah, it'll be 5 years on Saturday since the injury of having the whole world upside down. So obviously we met on an S&C course. Like, I was a strong functional PT, great career ahead of me, and then snapped my spine in a rugby match. Well, got my spine snapped in a rugby match, which left me with a spinal cord injury and has left me paralysed. So that's who I am presently. Well, that's who I was 5 years ago, but I think I've grown a bit more into my special body in that 5 years.
So did you just say 5 years Saturday, which is tomorrow?
8th of October. Yeah, is it tomorrow? It's Friday. Of course,
yeah, today's Friday. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yes, it'll be 5 years tomorrow.
Wow. And I can't remember exactly when it was I came to do the course, but it was David Lloyd Reading, and I remember it stands out to me. Like I used to teach dozens and dozens and dozens of courses a year to thousands of PTs, and I did that for probably 5 or 6 years in a row. And that day stands out head and shoulders above any course that I've ever taught anywhere in the world, because it was so much fucking fun. And not only was it so much fun, but there was like a really unusual atmosphere, whereas you had, I think, 8 or 9 of you who all did the same job in the same gym, but all got on so well and like looked out for each other and helped each other rather than hated each other because you were trying to steal each other's clients. Like, I don't know if behind the scenes there was some bitchiness that I didn't see, but it was I'm going into hundreds of gyms, seeing thousands of PTs, and usually someone's got a chip on their shoulder, or so-and-so doesn't talk to so-and-so because they've nicked their client or they've undercut their costs or what have you. And that day at that course was just the complete opposite. It was so much fucking fun. I've got loads of videos and loads of photos of where we were like building like little human pyramids. Do you remember? There was like 5 people on the bottom, then 4, 3, 2, 1, and loads of stuff like that. And the day stood out for me like massively. And then after that, obviously, you stay connected with people through Facebook and stuff like that. And then it wasn't long after when you had your accident playing rugby. And obviously, with rugby being such a huge part of my life, I remember on the day, even like with Matt, who was on the course, who played, and you played, and there was a few others that had an interest. CJ played. So there was that rugby sort of had a big theme throughout the day, and I don't know, it's one of those things where sort of like it was a lot closer to home. Although I'd only spent a day with you, it was a lot closer to home than just reading the newspaper. So and so broke their back playing rugby. It was really, yeah, it was quite difficult news to take. Not as difficult as it would have been for you, of course. Is there, I don't know, what do you remember? What is there anything like the day, the game, the incident? Is it
So like I remember I asked DJ to pick me up, and she was like, "Why? You only live 5 minutes." And I remember saying, "I just got, you know, don't know, just come and get me today. I don't want to leave my car at the club." I remember before we went out, because this team was horrible. They were known for being horrible. First time we played them, this woman had broke someone's arm. They'd, you know, it weren't a kind team. Like they were just out to hurt. It seemed.
yeah, fucking bitches.
Just old school rugby that they just, you know, most of the players use that time on the pitch to just get out their fucking sad lives and just, you know, like I was named player of the match in the first game, and I put a few tries past them, and I was the conversion kicker, and like, you know, not in a big-headed way, I stood out. So the second game, it was straight away smash to 7, which, you know, that's normal. You know, you look at someone, your opposition, you say, "I've got 6, I'll smash." Yep, smash 6, blah blah. That's normal talk. But when you start getting to the part of snap them, break them, smack fuck them, and dropping the C bombs in, that, you know, there is out for blood. It wasn't a sportsmanship game, and I kind of felt that in my tummy. And it literally was the last play we was in there, like their 22. I did a sick handoff to the scrum half. Scrum half caught the ruck, and I just was on the back foot of the ruck. She come offside and just literally frog splattered me. She was about 20 stone, and completely, just what it felt like was like, you know, when you get your Sunday roast and you pull the chicken leg out.
Yeah.
Like you heard it so loud in your ear, and then instantly I felt like it was like thunderbolts to the bottom of my feet, and I just remember looking up saying, "I'm paralysed."
That instantly.
Yeah, and then I was calling for Pete because Pete was on the sidelines. So
what about pain? Was that?
Oh, well, to be fair, it fucking hurt. But the pain that I suffer with now, like, 'cause I suffer from nerve pain and neuropathic pain. That breaking my back was the easiest pain I think probably felt. Like it was easy. That bit, like it's traumatizing the sound. Sometimes if I can't pull the chicken legs out. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But yeah, that instant pain was, I shrieked, and usually I used to get hit and bounce straight back up. Like I'm 5'3", I weighed 57 kilograms, but I was like, I didn't take shit. Like I was as soon as I hit the floor, I was up. But this time I screamed.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone knew. It was very somber on the match, very quiet.
What about in terms of the perpetrator, the assailant? What was her reaction? Because it's all like I've played rugby against people who are complete fucking arseholes on the pitch. I've played with and against people who you definitely don't want to be in and around in a game environment. But away from the pitch, they're different people. They're not like you say, it's sort of it's an escape to go on the pitch, and they can be an arsehole, they can hit people and like get into scraps and stuff, but they might actually not be that bad away from the pitch. But for that instant reaction where you knew it was that serious and everyone around did, what happened, like from the opposition's perspective? Nothing.
Just organised their night out, carried on with their games. Yeah, it's but you know, that's their attitude. I ain't got to live with their attitude. So like, you know, I was that player. I'm up for a scrap on the pitch. Like I'll rip a ball, I'll do that. But off the pitch, you know, when you hit someone hard, you do put your hand out and go, like, help them up. You know, I think that's good sportsmanship. Like, but yeah, there wasn't much from that team. So
in the what about in the weeks and months after, even once it became apparent that you're paralysed, never going to walk again, surely there was something.
To this day.
Jesus, is there no legal action or anything that you can take?
Yeah, there could be, but we'll see how things. Yeah, we'll see how things plan out.
Jesus, what's wrong with people?
Yeah. What's wrong with people? There's a lot I could say, but I'll say it. I can say it this time next year. Let's say.
All right, no worries. I'll have you on. If I've not been banned from the airwaves in a year's time, you can come on and you can do part 2.
Part 2 to actually tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah. Okay. So, right. There's so much to pick out of that, but I suppose sort of like you talked about the instant physical awareness of something really bad has happened. You like straight away you said I'm paralyzed. What about in the hours, the days and the weeks after? How long did it take for like your mental like awareness to sort of to catch up with that physical awareness of what had happened, or has it even yet caught up?
Like, I think like I'll sound big-headed, but I'm pretty arrogant. I've always thought, like, when I've had a broken leg, I'll be like, I'll be all right. After I had kids, I'd be like, oh, that'll be all right. So I generally thought that I'd be all right. I really thought that I would just be all right. And obviously, they say work hard for the first 2 years, because with a spinal cord injury, the first 2, what you're left with after the 2 years is how you'll live the rest of your life.
Right.
So I was like, right, there's still a chance then. So, we worked really hard. So that was the first 2 years. You're still kind of rehabbing and still thinking, what the fuck's going on? And then 3rd year, you're kind of like, oh shit, this is hard. And I'd say between the 4th and 5th year, this year has been, I would say, the hardest, because it's like, actually, this is life. This could be shit. Is it gonna be shit? Do I have the mental attitude? Because when you're able-bodied, you're so arrogant. I used to think, like, the perception I had of a disabled person was, oh, poor them. And that was my only thought. Like, I didn't think, shit, how do they do this? What happens with them? I wonder how they're feeling. Like, it's such a taboo subject that's not really spoken about. Like, in this day and age, you've got to label everything with such specific things. And I just think, don't call me disabled. Just ask, what the fuck's wrong with you? What happened to you? I love old people. Old people go, oh, been in a car accident. I go, kind of. Like, there's a lot of things you can you can come up with about it, but I still don't. I don't know. I don't think it has. It's not normal, and it's not unnormal. It's an odd. I still think I'm the same. I just got dingly dangly legs.
Just can't walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking before. I mean, I don't want people to think that I did too much preparation for this, but when I was thinking a little bit beforehand, and I was thinking, shit, what? I don't want to come across as sort of ableist. I was like, what is the polite way of referring to people that have had injuries? Like, are we still allowed to say disabled? Like, are they like what? I was thinking, shit, I don't know.
Got the best one. I love handicapped. Get in that handicap bay. It's funny. It's like handicap's probably the worst one, but I mean, we're dark humoured in this house. I mean, for Christmas, Pete buys me so much shit to go on my wheelchair, and it pisses me off. Like,
get like little spokes like you used to have on like bike wheels.
Yeah, Kellogg's. What you used to get in the Kellogg's. Like, I've got like, he's got me like, dark humoured book of jokes for like, just bad stuff. Like, how do you know? I won't say it.
Go on, say it.
Just his favourite one is, how do you know when the vegetables ready? Their wheelchairs are floating on the top, like stuff like that. Like he's but that helps keep it normal, like don't you know, you make jokes about certain things. Why not, you know, as long as the person can obviously take it, I could take it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, just dark humor, just humor it. I think the more people tiptoe around stuff, the more it just seems shit. Like last night, I was went to a open evening. My daughter said, "Oh, that's the den. That's where they put all the kids in, like, with disabilities." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "They go in there and do most of their lessons." I was like, "What?" Like you know what I mean? Like, how's that kid ever gonna learn to just be normal? Because what the fuck is normal?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? And you can. Some people are so sensitive these days, probably more sensitive than ever. And I suppose you're very similar to me in terms of like the sarcastic sort of dark humor, which can come across from someone who's able-bodied, making one of those jokes or comments. It'd be too easy for someone to go, "Oh, you're an arsehole." Like, and I was like, well, I'm not an arsehole, but if I know that you actually like sort of not like it, but if you sort of find comfort in a bit of a joke here or there, then is it the end of the world? Like, if it's
why I love the rugby club. You go there, as soon as I walk there, if one of the guys is there, he'll always call me, "You all right, special?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah," or like he just everyone treats me normal, and if there is a stupid joke, like I always say, I don't want to go up to the bar because I'm always at arse level, and after a game everyone's on the bloody owl and it just starts getting to a fart smog, so I don't go up in the bar, and they all like joke like, "You're coming up to the fart smog," you know, like they just get it, and no one treats me like a sad pitiful little person who rolls around.
Yeah, of course there's like a spectrum between just walking around insulting people, and obviously if you know people and they like you and they trust you and you're sort of part of their little clique and sort of you're all in part of the same environment, the same club, it's different, isn't it? It is very different. And like I say, I've grown up in rugby changing rooms and rugby bars, so like if you aren't thick-skinned enough to have the piss taken out of you, you don't tend to last very long, which some people would sort of say that's bullying and that needs to be rooted out and banter needs to be stopped. And yeah, I can see that there's some people who can take offense and they can, I don't know, they can go and fucking tear themselves up inside emotionally about it. But it is also, if the balance is right, I think. Yeah, it's almost like it shows that people care, really, like in a weird way. Like if my mates if we can all stand naked in the shower room and someone can take the piss out of someone else's dick and we all laugh about it,
or get pissed on and think that's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hot legging in the shower. Yeah, that's like it. Like,
a bit harder when you're female.
Yeah, it's very easy for the boys, I tell you that. I've got experience. Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? We don't want to go around upsetting people, but for me, it's refreshing to hear that you could have gone down the route whereby you're a victim and you're upset and offended by everything and anything that anyone says to do with the injury, but your preference is to tackle it head on. Take the piss out of me. I'll take the piss out of you. And
it's worse is when you're in, like, if you're out and then kids stare at you and the parents are ushering the kids off, and you can hear the kid going, "Why is she in a wheelchair?"
Yeah.
Like, let your kid come and ask me.
Yeah, and the parents are like, "Don't get too close. You might catch it."
Yeah, you might catch my disease.
Catch it from the.
Just don't touch it. It will multiply and you'll be in one. Like, yeah, and just like let your kid be curious. Like, let them come and ask. There's nothing wrong in saying, like, asking why I'm in a chair. There's nothing wrong, like, you know. But again, love old people. They just don't give a shit. They'll just ask you.
Yeah, that is a good point. That is a good point. On that note, I've got another deep question for you, and you've touched on a few things that sort of give me a little bit of an indication to the way you think. But in your opinion, an unanswerable question, what do you think the meaning of life is? And I'll put in brackets afterwards. And how has that changed sort of pre-accident, post-accident? What's the meaning of life?
There's so many bullshitty answers in there to that.
Yeah, there are.
I think so. Pre-accident was kind of just work, money, make sure things are good. It was all the same, not materialistic things, but materialistic things. And I think post-accident, this is why sometimes I say, you know, like it's a second wind of life. Same as some people say the same, and they've, like, you know, survived cancer. Like, you have another lease of life. And I think life, the meaning of life for me is just fucking living. Like, like shit happens to you. Like, there, you know, this is a 0.00 something % chance that happened to me. It fucking happened. It was the shittest lottery I've won, but like, in a way, it was the best lottery I've won, because it's given me that, like, I love my kids 100 times over. Because until you're laying there, the first thought was, fuck, how am I going to do, what about my kids?
Yeah.
You know, I was literally all they had. But then, you know, that vulnerable side, no one really saw that vulnerable side of me, which was, you know, people say it was nice to see, because then they saw Pete come in and literally scoop us all up. He didn't just love me, he loves the kids. And then, you know, yeah, I just think it's just fucking living. Too many people are chasing shit, like literally chasing shit. We could all die tomorrow, all, like, everyone. What are we going to take with us? All of our money?
We probably will if Putin keeps up his nuclear threats.
Fuck yeah. So like, everyone just, you know, it's not about, like, you know, we all like nice things, but like, what comes first is just living. Like, stop. You know, I second guess myself so much, and it's like, no, I don't want to keep second guessing myself. I just want to live. I just want to be happy. I just think the meaning of life is just being happy with the people you love.
You're preaching to the converted, and the sort of like the whole purpose of Thank Fuck It's Monday was I was working in an office. And I'd never worked in an office environment before, because I'd always been like a PT in a gym. But then when I started teaching courses for Jordan Fitness, I was office based, and big long office, about 20 meters long, and you have all the different departments were sort of sitting in segments, but you could sit and hear everybody. And I'd had a weekend where I'd been away. I'd been to like I'd had an event at a CrossFit store in London. And I was like the compere, sort of like getting all the athletes, getting everyone geared up, the crowd, and like announcing the winners of each event and all that sort of stuff. So I was like the main focus of the event. I was like pulling all the strings. There was a huge crowd in the shop, and at the end of it, the manager of the shop was like, pick whatever footwear you want, and you can have it, like, as a thank you for sort of doing such a good job. So I had like a pair of CrossFit weightlifting shoes and a pair of like Reebok Nano and whatever they were called, and I was like, fuck me, this is amazing. I've just been in a CrossFit store all day on a Sunday, hundreds of people like watching me, and I'm making them laugh, and I'm making my shitty dad jokes, and I'm like beasting the athletes and all this sort of stuff. I've got 2 free pairs of trainers, so I go into work the next morning with my 90 quid trainers on that that I hadn't had to pay for, and I was absolutely fucking buzzing. I was so happy with what I was doing and how I earned my living. And then there was like people around me, they're like, oh, fucking hell, is it Friday yet? Oh, it's 8:45 Monday morning. Only 5 days ago. Oh, I fucking hate this place. Oh, I fucking hate this job. And I sort of sat there to myself, and I was like, what's wrong with people? And I was like, and I bent down, I took a picture of my free trainers, and I posted them on Facebook, and I wrote, "Thank fuck it's Monday." And I sort of wrote a few sentences about I love what I do so much that I look forward to Mondays. I've got like a raging boner for Mondays, and other people dread Mondays because they hate their boss, or they hate their job, or they hate their husband or wife, or they, whatever path their life has taken, they've got problems with it, or they're chasing, I want that handbag or that pair of shoes or that car or that house, and then when they get it, they're not fulfilled or satisfied because someone else has got a bigger, better, shinier, more expensive one, and now they want that. And like it, that was where the whole thing came from. It was about looking forward to what you do, not dreading it. And if you don't like it, change it. All right, some people
100.
need to do, some people need to do shitty jobs, or the world wouldn't operate. But that doesn't mean you can't be happy and content with other areas of your life. So that was where the whole thank fuck it's Monday thing came from, which then obviously I wrote for 4 years. It became a bit of a bit of a piss take, or a bit of political satire, or something that was in the news. I would take the piss.
Them at work.
Did you like them or did you hate them?
Yeah, no, I liked them. They used to make me laugh. We used to all sit in the staff room reading them. It's funny.
They're funny. That was
it's funny. You think, oh yes, someone's fucking said it. Ruthless.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and you sort of you tread the line between sort of upsetting people or not, which sort of is, in my younger days, was something that I gave much less of a shit about. I'm a little bit more mature now, but yeah, that was the whole purpose. So to hear you say those things in terms of like the meaning of life, it resonates massively with all the things I've talked about for years. It's about people should do stuff rather than have stuff, or not. There's nothing wrong with having stuff, but if your aim in life is to have something, but that can be taken away from you in an instant, or that thing might not give you the happiness that you wanted it to. Whereas if you're doing stuff, if you're living rather than just existing, if you're doing rather than just having, if you're, I don't know, rather than just consuming things, you're creating things. It makes such a massive change to the way you tackle like any situation. And in this extreme example of having your fucking spine snapped in half, like all of a sudden it becomes a lot more important to have one eye on those aspects of life.
100%, yeah. Same as, for Christmas, we always get the kids, instead of getting the kids things, we always get them like a little skydiving thing, or a trip out, or like memories, because you outgrow a toy. You'll always hold a memory more than a toy, right?
Yeah.
We always just try and make sure they live, and make sure that they know what's worth life, what's that life is for more living and not for what you have. Go to school, get a good job, that's great, that you need to do that to survive this world, but do a job that you love. Like if you're going to be a dustman, fucking do it 100%, and be a happy dustman. Don't be a miserable one. I don't give a shit what you do, but put your happiness into it. I mean, they're 10 and 12, and that's how we tell them, because people say, oh, you're not upset they don't do sport. No, they do what they're doing what's making them happy. Sport don't make them happy like it makes me and it makes P. Do what makes you happy. Too many people don't do that.
Right, absolutely, amen. My dad is one of the biggest numpties you could ever meet, in an endearing sort of way. But he's been like a grafter his whole life, like manual labor, grafting all along. And he always sort of said to me, my sister, he was like, it doesn't matter what you do for a living, just make sure that you enjoy it, because you've got to do it for a fucking long time. And that was from when I was like in my teenage years, in my early 20s. I still don't think he quite understands that I've made a living out of telling people to do exercise, just as a generational sort of thing. He's like, he doesn't get it, but he's like, just make sure you enjoy it, because you've got to do it for a long time. And like, how many people do you know or do you see that are the other way around? They hate their job, but
they're doing it.
Yeah.
And when you
There's a
talk
big-
to them, most of these people in the office are so creative as well, and you think you're so wasted behind that. Like,
Yeah.
it's great you've got a huge house, but are you happy? Like if you wanna go and do art, like try and just like work your graft. If you know you've got social media now, where if you're a great drawer, keep advertising it. One day someone's gonna see it. Or
Yeah.
you don't know who you're making happy by just putting your art up. Like,
Yeah,
find
absolutely.
something that makes you happy. Just find something that makes you happy and just share it, because it might make someone else happy. Like, thank fuck for social media, in a way of me seeing other disabled people like pushing through, gritting through, and finding their happiness. And oh, that looks cool, I want to try that. Oh, that looks cool, I'm going to try that. Without them people sharing their happiness and their struggles, I don't think I'd be like this person now. I think I'd still
Really?
be figuring things out if there wasn't social media. Yeah, it can be a very lonely world when you're seeing it from just your bubble.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have instances where you would sort of like, I don't know, a few months after you're back home, you're coming to terms with the fact that you can't walk, life is going to be massively different. Did you sort of ever find yourself thinking like, how can I get in, how can I now get into sport, like the thing that I enjoyed, the thing that my life revolved around? Or did you sort of like ever find yourself thinking, shit, I'm done with that, I can't go back to it? Like, in terms of, I've got no role models,
I
I've
thought
not
life was over. I thought my life
really.
was over. I literally thought it was over. I thought I was going to lose my kids. Didn't know you could be a parent in a wheelchair. Didn't know you could do that. Didn't know I'd ever play sport again. You know, everyone goes on about the Paralympics. If you get injured in sport, all I heard was Paralympics, and it's kind of like, fuck, let me just figure out what I want to do. Like, I don't even know what I want. I was in so much pain, and like, I just never thought I'd find sport. It kind of really wasn't on my to-do list. I thought, sport, well, look what you've done to me. I don't know if I really want to do this again. But then obviously I found para ice hockey, and that's the only, like, when I saw that, literally, like, it was like crack. I literally was like, oh, hello. Yeah, and I played it once, and like, I was hooked bad.
Really?
It's my sport crack. Yeah, it's literally it was the only thing, like, sport I'd played in as a para, that I felt it was normal. You don't have to buy a shit ton of expensive like equipment for it.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's literally rugby on ice. For me, that's how it felt like. Like, the team is great, the camaraderie is great, the banter's as fucking warped as rugby banter is. It's great. It's like, and you play with like double amps, single amps, spinal cord injured, cerebral palsy people. Like, it's not just like, you get to just opened your eyes to how many people like struggle but still push through to play sport. So
Yeah, that's cool. So what are the short term, long term aims with your para ice hockey career?
I think we're aiming to get the women's team to the Winter Games, like the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
We're hoping that, you know, in the future there'll be a space for the women to have their own like sanctioned bit. So you get to that, saying you're going to go for gold. I mean, it can sound cheesy, but the Americans are all over the gold. They're so fucking good. Like,
Really?
yeah, they're incredible. They're in sleds from, if they're disabled, they're in sleds from like the age of 3. It's insane.
Jesus.
Like, the opportunity, there's so much opportunity over there for like young kids in sport. Like, there's just everything. If you like ice hockey, you got that. If you like basketball, you got this. Like, here it can be quite strained if you get sport in something. You got to travel a long time. You know, like, I just come back from Green Bay and Chicago, and in the little Green Bay there was 4 ice rinks.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just a 10-minute drive. That's how easy that is. And then like, but here I do a 4-hour round trip to Cardiff on a Sunday, 4-hour round trip to Cambridge on a Thursday, like, and then you've got that 6-hour trip up north for every other weekend for the GB camps. Because I go to the men's camps as well as the women's camps now.
Where'd you go up north? Is it Sheffield?
Widnes.
Oh, Widnes.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. I've got another question I was going to ask, backing on to this meaning of life one. And that was, why do you think that some people struggle to sort of find their way or their place? Like in your experience, what are the banana skins that you think some people slip on?
Well, I think we all struggle, and I can only talk personally on when I've struggled and why I've struggled. I think people struggle, they don't have anyone. I think lonely people struggle. The people in hospital who didn't have people struggled. People that didn't get visitors daily struggled. The people that didn't have anything to live for struggled. Have goals. I think goals help you get over the speed bumps, because once you hit one goal, you then go, okay, right, it's simple goals. I'm going to get up and brush my teeth. I'm not going to brush my teeth in my hospital bed.
Yeah.
Some people just don't brush their teeth. I generally just think some people struggle because they don't have support. I think support, love and care and a dark-witted humour gets you through.
But most important is the disgusting humour.
Yeah, dark humour. Like, fuck my mates, as soon as they'd get here, they'd jump in the chair, like jump in my wheelchair. They'd spend my hospital visits were watching them nearly not break their neck, doing like wheelies and stuff, because they'd see me do a wheelie. It's like, you can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I think I was lucky because when I did struggle, I had people to fall on. I think when people don't have a safety net behind them, I've been there where I haven't had anyone, and it was a struggle. It was hard. Yeah. You get lost in that dark mind of yours. Your own mind is your worst person. If you're lost in your own head, it's your biggest rival. I think when you've got someone that can go, stop being a pussy, I think when they call it out. I think it's a huge difference, massive difference, massive. Humans need humans. And
I suppose there's a caveat to that, is you need like the right people. You need good people. You don't want to be. You don't need like.
I'll tell you what's funny. Someone said to me, he came round and he would help. He'd been injured a long time, and he said, and I said, I've got good people around me, and he says, this time next year, you won't realise how shit your friends are, and you are going to be left with maybe one or two. Now I had a best friend from year 9 until I was injured, and what worked out is when I was injured, I wasn't no good to her anymore, because I was the one that was I was the doer in that relationship.
Yeah,
I was the one that did all the things to make sure she was okay. She was allowed to call me whenever she wants, but I was only allowed to call her when she weren't busy with whoever she was fucking, all that shit. And then I had friends, there was the person that introduced me to rugby, and she was a good friend of mine and David Lloyd's. And then as soon as I got injured, it was like she was envious that I was injured. That she even said to the coaches, all the attention's on Dani. What about the people that are on the pitch? And I do think that's right. What about the people that are on the pitch? But fuck me, I was 3 weeks injured when she said that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're right. The right people around you. This injury has filtered out the shit, and I've left with some great nuggets. Like the people in my life now, I feel fulfilled. I couldn't ask. Most people couldn't count on one hand how many people they have that they can rely on. Like I do have a good set of people to set me in good boundaries.
Yeah. The sad and annoying thing is, you very often don't realise who the good people are until you're in the middle of a shitstorm, and you need them to stick a hand in and to or make a phone call or just check up on you, sort of thing. It's difficult, isn't it? Like you don't, and they can come from like the least expected sources, and the people who you thought were your best friends might actually not have been.
That literally is it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
shocking. And it, you know, I've spoke to people that have gone through cancer treatment that have felt the same. You know, you really don't know who your friends are until you are at like rock bottom, and you do need that person. You do need someone. And like, you know, it's just, yeah, as I said like previously, it's the second lease of life, and I think I'm for living. I'm not for drama. You want to bring drama to their life, then you ain't in it. Like, there's no pushover done anymore. Like, people used to see me as tough. I wasn't. I was soft as shit. I used to cry a lot when people were mean. I felt like I used to wear my heart on my sleeve, and really, I found myself getting shut on quite a lot. Like, I'd make good friends, and then, you know, where are they now? And it's like, actually, they done their purpose. Like, I know that I did my best in that relationship with people, and if they're not here with me now, as you said, you know, it's their loss. It's not mine, because I was a good, loyal friend.
And you sort of like, it sounds like you've developed a much more sort of laser focused awareness and approach to what you want, what makes you happy, what's going to make you content and fulfilled, and any distraction from that, not going to waste any time. Like,
yeah, because I thought that made a selfish person. It actually makes a healthy person, because I need to be healthy, because there's 3 children that need a healthy mum. I'm already unhealthy. I've got fucked kidneys. My legs look like strings. Like, I'm fucked. But as long as I can keep my mind in the game, then there's not much you can take. As long as you've got your head. I was always so thankful I didn't have a head injury, because, you know, in rugby you can get the head injuries and stuff like that. I'm so grateful for this and not the head injury, because I can't imagine not having a mind that can do the things you want it to do. Okay, I can't move my legs. Okay, I can't use my bowel bladder. Okay, that's great, but I've still got half of my body.
Yeah.
So you've got, you know, I'm grateful for what I've been left with. So yeah.
Yeah, and what a mental thing to hear someone say that when you've got the world at your feet, you've got a career that's blossoming, you've got a passion of a hobby that you love and that you get so much enjoyment out of, then your spine gets snapped and you can never walk again, and you're grateful for what you've discovered that you've got. Well, from the outside looking in, you're left with fuck all compared to what you had, but from the inside out, you're grateful for what you're left with.
And I think that's where people go wrong. They start from the outside and go in. You need to look like, you know, the core. You need to find the core of things. You know, I'm still finding what makes me happy, what makes me. I'm still, you know, people still fuck me off, but like, do I react? You know, when this happened, I wanted to. God, did I want to reach out to the person that did this? But, you know, I wrote my letter to her. I read it out to her by myself in my room. Like, no one was around, but I needed to write it down, say what I needed to say. And then I literally just ripped the letter up, put it like it was done. It's gone. She don't need to hear that. She's already taken enough.
Yeah.
She don't need any more of my time.
Yeah.
And I feel like that about all the other fuckers that have tried to, you know, take some time out of my life. Just, it's gone. I don't hate anyone. That hate takes too much space. I bloody dislike people, just like most people. But I don't hate anyone or anything.
You sound very, very, very similar to myself and my approach. And there's a guy in the education world who I'm quite sort of decent friends with, called Stephen H, and he talks a lot about mindset and things like that. And I've seen him do talks in a crowded room where he sort of says to people like, who's got kids? And most people put their hands up, and it's like, right, if you were who's more important, you or your children? And everyone sort of puts a hand up, say, oh yeah, my children are more important, I would do anything for my children. And he's like, you're wrong. He's like, you're all wrong. He's like, there's a reason why When you're on a plane or a boat, they tell you to put your life jacket on first, or your mask on first. It's like, because if you're dead, who's going to look after your children? It's like, so you need to be selfish and you need to prioritize yourself first, because the healthier you are, the better job you can do of looking after them. And it's a simple way of reframing, like as a parent, the most sort of the biggest instinct is to that your children are the be all and end all. They're so important. Well, actually, sometimes you do need to be selfish and put yourself first so you can be a better parent.
Yeah. So when I was in rehab, I was there for 6 months, and the kids used to come up like for the first. I didn't want to see them for a lot. I don't think I saw them for like 2 weeks.
Really?
Because I didn't want them to see me broken until I could sit up on my own and get into the wheelchair without being bloody hoisted. Something from Ann Summers, the machine they used to bring in, like it was awful. I nicknamed him Nobby. Like it was, until I could do it myself and get up and wheel to the canteen, I didn't want to see them, because it was good. It was shocking enough for them to see me injured. You know, I was their, you know, their sole person that ran around and met their every needs.
Yeah.
And forgot about my needs. But this time I knew that I had to put me first. They was okay. They was with my mum. So for the 4 months I was in St Mandeville, the kids came once or twice. I think maybe just once when they picked me up to go home, because I used to do Monday to Friday was my time to concentrate on getting the fuck better, like in the rehab. And then Friday to Sunday I'd leave the hospital. I'd get hospital leave, and then I'd spend it with the kids. So like it was insanely intense, because like you didn't get time off. Like my mind was never like on my own. Like, and it was so hard. It was hard. Looking back, it's like, how the fuck did I do that? It's like having toddlers. When you look back and think, shit, how did I handle toddlers? Damn. So yeah, I kind of I think that was the first time I felt so selfish doing it, but I put myself first, because I knew I had to drill this rehab out to get home to them, to be the best functioning person. But I spent 2 years, I think maybe 3 years and a little bit, I think 80% of my time I've spent in bed crying in pain, and they've had to hear that. But that's why I try and make the 20%. But now it's getting better, because I'm kicking the fuck back out of pain. And like, I think again, that's mindset. I do think that's mindset.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, obviously there's no way of knowing if there was a better alternative, but you sort of, I suppose, if you just stick with your approach, that had you have not prioritized yourself during those 4 months, and if you would have brought them in and put them first and worried about them, neglected yourself, you might be even less mobile than you are now. You might have been like you mentally might, mentally and emotionally, you might have been a complete wreck, whereas it looks and sounds from my end that you're sort of, you've got things under control anyway. It might be like a swan, like fucking chaos under the water, but above the surface.
That's what I call myself. I am a swan that's fucking swimming the shit underneath, but I try and swan it out, not for anyone else, but for the kids.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes when I'm having a shit pain day and I'm swearing, you know, sometimes I call it the Stella Artois, Dani, because I'm an aggressive fucker. Like, you walk into the room, even walking on the floorboards, I can feel the vibration on the bed. That's how sensitive. I'm like some lizard that's not got the benefits of being a lizard. Like, you know, like when they can feel through like it just is so painful, people walking in the room.
Jesus.
Like, and if they wake me up from like, and I don't sleep when I'm having a big pain flare up, it's like you pass out sleep. Your body's trying to turn off. I explained it to Pete, like the pain I suffer is like having fucking 400 voices in your head, and someone's trying to ask you what you want for dinner, and all you can just go is fucking, I don't know, I'm not even hungry. Like, I'm in so much. So the kids experience that. So do I feel selfish because my kids hear me swear and be aggressive? But do they see the swan 80% of the time? I give myself the 80-20 ratio.
Yeah.
I'm not a shit parent. I'm an honest parent. And I think they see me struggle and still fight. You know, some of the words that come out of my kids' mouths about me are the most choking ones. They're the ones
Really?
like when people say, "Oh, you're inspirational." That's great. Thank you. Appreciate that. I've been called worse. Like I find compliments hard. But when Lily writes in a card, you know, "You're the strongest person I know. I'm so thankful you're my mum."
Yeah.
Oh, cut. That's a cut. That's a, you know, that's the little sentimental stuff that's my drive.
Yeah.
I don't want them to see a pussyfooty round mummy. Like, you know, I want them to still, if I wasn't in a wheelchair, they still would have had a fierce mother. Like, I'm still going to be don't fuck with my cubs. And that, you know, I want them to know that. And I want them to see struggle and still think, like, you know, they need to fight. Life is shit. Life hands you shit. If I wasn't in a wheelchair, I still had shit prior to this. I had a shit divorce. I had a shit time. I was a single pet. Like, it was shit. I found my happiness and it went shit again. I'll find happiness again and it's going to go shit again. Like, literally, it's like being caught in a wave. Sometimes you're going to surf it. Sometimes you're going to bail at it. But as long as you keep, you know, getting back on.
I do a lot of people's heads in, like most notably, like my immediate family, like my parents, my sister probably, and my wife, because I sort of like my emotional radar has got so narrow that like if I won 100 million on the Euro Millions tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, that's all right, good day. But I'd probably be a bit more happy than that. But my point is sort of like, I think people get way too excited and too happy over small things, and they then get way too upset and depressed over small things, and they have these massive fluctuations from like ecstatic to like suicidal wrecks. And I've sort of like I've learned over the years that can make me come across as a miserable bastard, but I sort of like I can take the rough with the smooth and I can ride the waves, like you say, and something brilliant can happen, and I'm happy about it. But I know that doesn't mean I'm on a trajectory where everything's just going to be fucking amazing forever. Because if I think like that, then when I get a little kick in the road, it's going to take me way down below. And I've sort of learned to sort of stay quite narrow with my happiness and my sadness, because like you say, shit happens.
Wrong with me to have that feeling, you know, like, you know, when people like get so, oh my god, I've just got the report back from my kids thing, and it's like it's like a big thing on Facebook. Like makes me, I'm happy, but it's like I don't, as you said, that's great. You've done a good job there. But there's going to be something in a minute, and probably behind closed doors, where you're screaming at them and just be honest about life. Like, has that really made you extremely as happy as you're putting out on social media? Are you really happy because you're on social media saying it? Have you told the kid it? Have you just I don't know if that makes sense.
I think we're on I think it sounds like we're on the same page, and there's a disassociation, isn't there, between, I don't know, is that just something that you're adding to the highlight reel of your life, that because you're trying to get one over on Janet, who lives down the road and her kids are top of the fucking class, so this will show her? Why is it important? Is it important to you because your kids have done really well, or is it important to you because you're trying to get one over on someone else, or you're trying to get more likes or more comments? And like, there's a balance, isn't there, between like, actually, if you step back and go, why am I doing this? What was this really important to me, or was it important for me to look good to somebody else, to impress somebody else?
Yeah, it's like, you know, the reason I post is for me, it's like when it comes up on my memories, especially the last 5 years I've posted. Before, I didn't really post too much. I posted for the wrong reasons, I'd say, but now I post because when you look back and it's like a year ago you done the marathon. Oh fuck yeah, I forgot about that. Shit, I did a marathon. That's great. And then 2 years ago, oh shit, I did another marathon around a rugby pitch, 112 laps. That was a shit time. But wow, look what I did. Oh fuck, remember when I was learning how to sit up? Like, I'm glad I just post, honestly, as I said earlier, I want to post things because people who posted when I was trying to look for things, I think they're the ones that encouraged me to do stuff. Well, if she can get in the chair, I can.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
Just people's tunnel vision is for the wrong tunnel.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you to share one of the bits of creative writing that I asked you to do. So my question is about how do you want to be remembered, and hopefully your homework was to write a 70 character sentence that would be on your headstone. I had to Google to see how many characters you could fit on a headstone, and that, like,
and it's 70.
It came back as 70 characters, yeah, which is a quarter of a tweet. Where
it's not fair because my name takes up most of that, so I'm not gonna take my name into it. So my name don't count.
Yeah, your name doesn't count. Okay, or you can have just Dani. So that's 4 of them. Yeah. So if you were 6 feet under tomorrow, what would you want to have on your headstone?
Well, Rocky was right. Life's about how hard you can get hit and get back up. This time I rest.
Wow, nice. So, obviously there's an element in there about coming back from, I don't know, coming back from defeat, coming back from dark places, coming back better than you were before in whatever respect. Is there anything else in there sort of to elaborate on?
Just life's hard. Like, don't get fucking torn up into it. Like, life is hard. You might live in a multi-million-pound house, you've still got problems. You might live in a squalor, you're still gonna have problems.
Yeah.
So life's hard. Just live it. Life's for living. Don't just keep getting back up and hit back. It's like, that is life. Life is yourself. As I said before, yourself is your biggest nemesis. Just keep hitting back. And when it's time to rest, don't feel sad for resting. We all need to rest. Yeah. I don't want people to be sad when I die, especially my kids. So when it's time to rest, they should be happy that I'm not in pain. I'm chilled. I'm finally asleep. A good night's sleep will do me good.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know what, on that note, that's the whole reason I sort of started the idea to do this podcast, because I was like, I mean, I've got 2 now. I've got a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I sort of since I've had them, I've become like increasing. I shit myself about, what if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, or boom, click your fingers and I've gone. Like, they won't remember me. They won't know me. They were, in 3 years' time, they'll never remember what I actually looked like in the flesh. And yeah, they got more photos than anything these days with smartphones and stuff like that. But it scares me senseless that they'd have nothing to remember in terms of like my personality or my views, my opinions, like anything like that. So I was like, well, I don't really give a shit about how many listeners I get or anything like that. I was like, it's interesting to speak to people who have got interesting stories. I was like, but also, if I can just sort of like document and bank hours and hours of me talking and interacting with people and stuff like that, worst case scenario, they will know like how I think, and they'll know that I'm happy, I'm content, and I'm fulfilled, and I don't give a shit about having a multi-million-pound mansion, because it's more valuable to me to stand on Peppa Pigs and break my fucking ankle walking through the lounge like every day.
Wait till the Lego comes.
Yeah. Did you know what I mean? Like, it's
unless you're in a wheelchair, you don't have to get it.
Well, there you go. There you go.
So you got to find the perk. I don't tread on Lego anymore.
But that's a massive driver for me to sort of to even do this, is to sort of that awareness of I want them to know how comfortable I am with where I am, like physically, mentally, emotionally, and all of that stuff. And that if I did get hit by a bus tomorrow, I would be mortified that I don't get to see them grow up and stuff like that, and I'm not there to help them and to guide them. But I'm like, I'm not scared of it like I was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. I was scared shitless of dying. Now I'm not looking forward to it, but I can accept
living
it
each day, because you're
I
living
think so,
each
yeah.
day to what makes you happy, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's like every day I can get out of bed and not lay in bed in pain is a day where I'm happy. And I never used to speak about death, but I do speak about death for the kids. Like, they'd be, oh, if you die, because a friend of mine died leaving. We had the same age kids, and she was, she was 34, died of cancer. And, like, she left kids, 10 and a 12-year-old, and spoke to the kids about it. And they're like, oh, I couldn't live if you died. And I said, well, what was the point of me living now then, if you weren't going to live if I died? And they couldn't answer the question. And then, my daughter was like, I'd have to live, wouldn't I? Because you'd want me to live. And I was like, yeah, exactly. And I want you to be happy. You got to do what makes you happy. And you got to know if mummy did die, you'd be happy. Because she wants you to be happy. That's all I want. Like, if I died tomorrow, like, it would, if you could watch down, I'd be I would be mortified. I would, because I want to see my kids get married, have kids, and just see what awesome humans they're going to be. And, like, obviously I've only got a 3-month-old now, so I'd really want to see what she looks like, because at the moment she's lost all her hair and gone for that bald stage. So, like, just seeing all their personalities, stuff like that. But he's a great dad. They'll be in good hands. And as you said, stuff like this they can listen back to. There's other things they can look through my social media, like they can see that, I was doing my best and I was doing it by them.
Yeah. And I don't even know what I can add to that, because but it's just sort of it echoes the way I think about things so closely, and that's not to say anyone who doesn't think like that is a shit parent or they're a fucking moron, because I don't know, don't judge anybody else by your own standards, and sort of all you can ask is that they don't judge you by their standards as well. And I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I've seen the light, and everyone else is an idiot and they need to do it my way. I just kind of I'm so content with my way that it doesn't, other people doing other things other ways just doesn't bother me. I don't entertain it.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone thinks that is what bugs me about humans. People should learn to just, if you haven't got anything nice to say, like, if it's like, just don't say it. Do you need to say, oh, look at that woman's hair, like, she wants to do her hair like that, she might have woken up today and think she looks really nice, and you're now being heard that she's got fucking bad hair. But what's that going to do? Whereas if it's an opinion that you're really passionate about, or it's some, do you know, if you actually use this product, I use this product, it might do, oh wow, thanks. Like, don't be a dick. You don't need to be a dick in life. Like, just let people have their opinion, respect other people's ways of doing, like, just as you said, just, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it. Don't be unkind. Be constructive and criticize nicely if you think it will benefit that person. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, well said. Do you have any regrets? And I know when I ask people that, I fully anticipate
them. I do.
Yeah, I mean, the anticipation is that people have this like ingrained, like, no regrets. I don't regret a thing. But fuck me, I do, and I think everyone else does. Like, I don't buy all this bullshit. Like, no regrets. I wouldn't change a thing at all. So, do you have any? And if so, what are they?
Oh, I've got many, but I won't. So I think most people presume I'd say I regret playing rugby.
Yeah.
I don't, because I know loads of people that got spinal cord injuries because they coughed too hard, or they got hit by a car, or they were driving their car like twats. Who's ever drove a car over the speed limit?
Yeah.
We've all done that. So I don't regret playing rugby. I think people would assume that. I think my biggest regret is letting people fuck with my head. When when you see that I don't know, I used to get told I was fat, or I used to get told that I was a slag or this, and you're like, oh wow, I'm getting called a slag by someone who's meant to love me, and I've only ever been with you since I was 13. So but that shaped my mind into having no confidence, no nothing. So I think my biggest regret is just letting poison seep into my head when I didn't need it to. In fact, most people that have been poisonous towards me have really shitty lives, and they just reflect their shit onto other people because they're too pussy to deal with their own stuff. And that's what most people that seep poison into other people do. So my biggest regret is to let people fuck with my head and made me lose out on good things. The times I didn't go out because I was told I was too fat, or the times I didn't do this because you're a bad mum if you went on this trip, you're a bad mum if you went to work. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
That was my regret, listening to Wally's.
Wally's, to put it politely. Yeah, I used to get really wound up in situations like that, where someone would say something and I would go to town, like, right, let's have a fucking argument about it then, and back and forth, a slanging match. And now I still love an argument. I do like an argument. I'm pretty good at arguing as well. But I do have a growing side of me that is like, right, okay, this person has just said this thing. Like, one option, I can be upset or annoyed or angry about it. The alternative option is I can maybe sort of think that there's something else going on in their life that
is making them a bit twisted.
Yeah, something that they're struggling with, something that they're refusing to tackle, and it's manifesting itself as them acting like a bit of a cunt, and they're projecting it onto somebody else. That person at this time is me, and I can either choose to accept it and I can argue with them and fall out with them, or I can just be like, okay, fair enough, clearly you've got your own shit to deal with, but it's not gonna ruin my day.
Yeah, that's what I try and live by now, instead of arguing with, like, I don't want to argue with people. It's the last thing I want to do. But if you back me in a corner, I'm going to argue with you.
Oh,
and I'll get myself out. But I don't look for the confrontation. But I don't understand why people do act like dicks. It does confuse me. I do look at some people's behaviour and think, fuck, you're the sperm that won. Like, fuck. Like,
why did the others trickle down your mum's leg? There might have been a good one in there.
Yeah, damn, clench harder. Because you're just, why are you doing this? Like, we've all had shit times. Everyone's had shit happen to them, and if you haven't, you're so lucky, and it's gonna come. Like, but like, we've all had such hardships. All of us have had hardships. Don't portray it. Like, talk. Like, open up. Just the best thing I've done is just, honestly, just as you said, just get the tunnel vision in what makes you happy. And if that person next to you wants to try and seek their bad time into you, like, okay, I'm really sorry you feel like that. Instead of arguing, but there is a time when entitled people do just get me good.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a good argument, especially if I've got a good strategy to win the
Oh,
argument. Then
if you park in a fucking disabled bay, I'm gonna go at you no matter what. And if you, I will always argue till the day I die for the twat that parks in the disabled bay and just says, I'm only going to be 5 minutes. That's great. Stand in front of my car and I'll break your legs if you really want the VIP parking.
yeah. That's one of my pet hates, people that do that. I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Getting on towards the last few minutes, there's another thing that I've asked you to do, and I've got no idea whether this is as a part of the show, whether it's going to be a fucking car crash or whether it's going to be or whether it's going to be like my USP that sort of helps me stand out. But I've asked every guest to write a letter, which they're going to read out on the show, and the letter can be to any person, dead or alive. It can be to themselves or to someone else, and the letter can be based at any time in history. So if you wanted to write a letter to Jesus Christ, like, you can, or if you want to write a letter to yourself in the future, anything goes. And we'll see what happens. So have you written?
English isn't my best.
Wow, fuck that. But you've got a piece of paper, so that's a good start. Who have you written your letter to?
So my letter is called Dear You.
Dear You. Is that to me or is it to Dani?
No, Dear You. Whoever
dear
you
you
are.
Oh,
Dear
you're getting even deeper than I am.
Morbid.
Well, yeah, but it's shit like that people don't talk about. They hide away from it and they try to avoid it, and we're all gonna fucking die.
Yep. This is just Dear You, whoever you may be.
Go on then.
I'm
Go for
sick
it.
of you, dear you. I'm tired of your selfish way you behave. Why do you think you can behave so righteous? Who fucked you up so much that you think it's okay to drag other people down when you're feeling so fucked up? I'd like to tell you that it's not acceptable and I've really had enough. Leave people to live their life because it's not your life. Because yours hasn't gone your way, don't try and take mine away. You behave like a bastard and then I'm the bad one for calling out your entitled ways. Why do the good and honest people seem to tread the water for the longest? Because of you, you selfish twat. I'd like to first thank you for taking the time to read this short letter. I've listened to your moans and groans for long enough. Your entitled life is pretty boring to hear. I'm sorry it's been so hard. But it's time to get the fuck off your high horse and remember the world doesn't just contain you. Yours faithfully, Dani. Whoever you may be.
Beautiful. Well, if anyone else can get the word twat into their letters, then they get a bonus. They get a bonus point. You get like a gold star. That right. So you were quite sort of evasive in terms of who you is or are, but I'm trying to sort of dissect it. And after the chat we've had already, like, are there elements of you that relate to people you've come across in the past? But is there also an element of that mythical person that is yourself, like Dani, like the devil on one shoulder that tries to sort of bring you down a little bit, like that little dark bit of your mind that...
So I refer to her as the little bitch. You know, sometimes I think there's each sentence can be, I could probably pin a point on each person who I thought of in that letter, because there wasn't just one person I could write. I could have wrote a really morbid letter to my dead dad asking him why he chose to drink and not live his life, but I thought, let's go deep. And I really thought about each sentence was to someone. And I think, if I'm really being honest, who hasn't been an entitled idiot in their life? Who hasn't been arrogant and just thought about themselves? Who hasn't had moments where it's not gone right for them, so you've gone into the office, as you say, and had a bitch and a moan about it? we've all been that you at one point. Why do we need to be that you? Why do we need, like, you know, why do we need to just do things that can hurt others? I don't understand that. Maybe I should have wrote it to Putin. It could have fit in well, isn't it?
We can do that.
Actually,
If we're all still alive, then when you come back in next year, you can do a letter to Putin, but he might not be by then anyway. But that I'll listen to that back, and I think it's the type of thing that I'll listen back repeatedly and get more and more out of it every time. As you were reading it, I got like little sort of goose pimples on the back of my neck, sort of trying to work out who you were speaking to and trying to sort of second guess. And I gathered that there was some definite digs at some specific people that you had in mind, but I was sort of thinking also it might be sort of quite I don't know, autobiographical, like where you're sort of maybe talking to yourself in elements there as well, like I don't know, in some respect. But that was that I enjoyed that. I need to listen to it back to sort of milk it a few more times. But
I don't really waste time with like celebrity and icons. I don't really have them. I wouldn't waste my time writing a letter to any of them people. I suppose I'd ask Henry VIII if I could ask him a question, but he's probably the only person.
Yeah, I've sort of, my hope in asking people to do that is, although it's a little bit awkward and it might be a bit deep for some people, and some people will take it more sort of seriously than others, but it's a chance to sort of, I don't know, the ethos of thank fuck it's Monday is about fucking loving and enjoying today. And if you've got something to say, whether that is to a parent who's passed away, or whether it is to yourself in the future or whatever, like don't leave it unsaid, because there comes a point where you can't say that thing to someone, or you can't share it. So like, I don't know, there's I'm sure
I nearly did write the letter to my dad, but I thought to myself, no, I fucking called him out before he died. I've had my piece. There's not much more I can say to him. He knew what I thought. Yeah, because I was asking Pete, you know, who should I write it to? I did mention my dad first, but yeah, then I thought, actually, I'll just write it to you, whoever the fuck you are.
Yeah, anyone, and people can analyze that, and if they think it's about them, it probably is about them.
Yeah, I've always gone by that. If you think, you know, when people go, is a stat? I used to get it a bit more when we were young. Is that status about me? No, I'm just saying I'm fucking pissed off how people are mean. If the shoe fits, you know, maybe there's something that you've done today where you've thought, oh, should I have done that? That was quite mean. Then yeah, okay, take it. It's to you. But I'm just saying in general, kind of just pissed off how you behave.
Perfect. And on that note, that is the exact message that I used to sort of get from Thank Fuck It's Monday. That's the exact sort of message that I would sort of have. So if this resonates with you, if you think it's about you, then maybe there's something deep down that you're noticing in your actions, something that you maybe could address, that you could improve. None of us are perfect, but we can all try to get 1% better sort of day by day, and hopefully the world will be a better place. But yeah, perfect place to finish. And Dani, I appreciate your time and your effort so much. There's 1,001 rabbit holes that I would love to go down, but I need a piss way too badly to go down any of them. But it means that if you're willing, I can have you on again, and we can sort of tackle a few other issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Thank you very much for your time. I will do. Cheers, Dani. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed that first show. I hope that you found elements of it thought-provoking or funny or interesting or motivational, because that is the whole point. And if you didn't, I did, so that's kind of all that matters. Anyway, on a serious note, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I don't know, I think you're supposed to ask people to subscribe or some shit. So subscribe, make sure you follow the podcast, and then you'll get a notification when the next one is available. If you've got somebody that you think would be worth me speaking to, then please reach out and let me know. And most importantly, if there was an element of that show that you think somebody else would enjoy listening to, then share it with them so they can enjoy it too. Thank you very much. See you next time.